doing some social skills videos. Today I'm going to go through why, and the word is important here, attempt to cause positive emotions should be the primary goal. You can have a secondary one, but that should be the primary goal for 100% of social situations, in my opinion. And I'm going to explain why that. First of all, let me just say there's almost never any absolutes in social skills and with emotions, as far as I'm concerned. Anytime you see a meme that says, never do this, or if someone does this, it means this, or always this is the case, you can basically guarantee that they're oversimplifying something. So in this case, I am suggesting that this should be your goal for every single social situation. You can have a secondary goal as well, but this should be the primary goal, no exceptions. So the wording is super important in this case. Attempt to cause positive emotions. So the reason it's attempt to is because that means that you can always complete this objective all of the time. The only way you can fail it is if you try to fail it or you forget about it and you do something different. And attempting to cause positive emotions is nearly always going to be towards who you're speaking to directly. However, in some circumstances, there might be someone who's clearly being rude to others or bullying someone or something like that, in which case it can be a good idea in some circumstances to try to cause some negative emotions on purpose, but that should still be for the overall goal of causing positive emotions. So you reduce the negative effect someone is having on someone else or something like that. It should still be with the intention of this is still going to make everyone feel better rather than worse. The most important reason why I suggest this as the primary goal for social interactions is because it makes you more of a good person. In my opinion, this is the main and kind of from a certain way of looking at it, an oversimplified view, the only way to be a good person with social interactions. So it might seem a bit like I'm just proposing that everyone go out and be nice to each other, but it's not just that, it's also extremely strategic as well. And will end up with you having a lot more success with whatever your aim is, I guess, unless your aim is to not be successful on purpose, perhaps. But any sort of reasonable aim that people actually have, this is a way better way of achieving it. So one other benefit is that you're going to look less pushy or needy if you're trying to get a result from someone. So it might be that you're trying to secure a date, you might be trying to make friends with someone, you might be trying to sell something even, something like that. So you're going to look like you're trying to force them less. So that's pushiness. And neediness is comes from chasing the other person too much in comparison to how much they're chasing you. Plus it looking like that is based on the motivation that you want to get their approval from them. So that's neediness, which is super unattractive in nearly all circumstances, by the way. If you do this, you're way less likely to come across needy because your main goal is cause positive emotions, attempts to cause positive emotions. So if you do that, then you win. You've won the objective, you've won the social situation. Anything else is just a bonus. You can have a secondary goal, but the way I see it, if it didn't work out the way that I wanted it with my secondary goal, as long as I tried to make it to cause positive emotions, then I won the situation, which is helpful for not looking needy, not looking pushy, and confidence as well, because you can be confident that you're going to win this goal, and you increase your confidence over time due to the effect that you see it have on others, and the effect that you see it have on your secondary target. You also increase your confidence due to the fact that you're going to care less about whether they align with the second goal, which again, the common examples are getting someone's number, making a friend, getting a date, getting a sale in business. So increased confidence, decreased neediness or pushiness, kind of similar things. Also, decreased nervousness of speaking to new people. If you're nervous of speaking to new people and you have this goal, this is way, way easier and more importantly, feels like less of a big hurdle than going over and starting a long conversation and having like a 5-minute talk with someone, or trying to make friends with them or something like that. So it's like a stepping stone. The same way that if I said to everyone who's watching this, go outside and have a run outside for 1 minute, versus I said run outside for 1 minute, then when you're out there, I somehow follow you from the video screen, which is pretty spooky, but once you're out there, then I say, okay, now do 9 more. People are way more likely to end up doing 10 minutes running than if you just say 10 minutes straight away. So that can work for persuasion, but it can also work for your own motivation. Persuasion and motivation are almost exactly the same thing. Persuasion is just motivation, but to someone else. So by having this as a stepping stone, once you've attempted to cause positive emotions, which you do just by trying and like doing some communication to them, then you're already in the conversation most of the time in that case. And that's nearly always the hardest part in terms of overcoming nervousness for people, is the first time you speak to someone new. So this is really effective for reducing nervousness and therefore increasing how many times you actually end up engaging in a social situation. The next benefit of having your primary objective be attempt to cause positive emotions, 100% of the time, which basically never happens in social skills. Like I said, we almost never have 0% or 100% of anything. There's nearly always exceptions. But in this case, I propose 100% of the time. The next benefit is if you have a few situations back to back where you didn't get the outcome that you wanted, you're way less likely to feel really negative about it and then end up losing loads of motivation to socialize, or feeling really bad, or having your confidence go down for a while, or something like that. So if your goal is to get someone's contact details and then 5 times in a row people say no, then you're likely to feel bad about yourself and see that as a reflection of yourself, which is more untrue than true. Although obviously like it can be a slight reflection of how you did, but it's more untrue than true. So if your goal instead was to attempt to cause positive emotions, then all 5 of those you won. So you caused something good to happen. Bear in mind, you want this to be something that you're like focusing on, like with your mind and your emotions, not just like a theoretical thing. Ideally, you want to start to get yourself more and more to actually feel like good in those situations. So that example where 5 times in a row, the thing that was a secondary aim you didn't get, getting someone's number is an example. You want to actually as much as possible feel actually good that you attempted to cause positive emotions, and they all probably felt better off because you spoke to them. Now bear in mind that any time that you cause positive emotions to someone else as a result of socializing, the impact that you perceive from that happening, they smile and laugh or whatever, is probably multiplied by a lot of times, possibly even something like 10 times. It's going to be basically impossible to accurately measure. But the reason for that is because A, they're going to remember it afterwards if it was good, to some extent or another. And B, they are then basically guaranteed, if they felt more positive as a result of a social situation, to go on and interact with other people later and have more positive interactions with them. Even if they're just on the train and they're smiling a bit more, it's likely to have a slight difference to how people feel around them. So it has like a ripple effect every time that you cause positive emotions to others. Remember that, because the impact that you have that's positive is probably loads more than what you see at the time and what almost everyone would expect. So the most important reason this is good to have as your primary aim, in my opinion, is because it causes more of a good impact on the world and you're being more of a good person, which is my primary aim from coaching social skills, is to cause a positive result as a result of me coaching and discovering and understanding it. However, if we are to, from a theoretical sense, take a purely selfish perspective on this, it's still within that person's interests, because nearly all of the time, you're more likely to achieve the second aim by having it as the second aim to attempt to cause positive emotions. Because one, they're going to be more, well, on average at least, people will enjoy speaking to you more. So therefore they're more likely to do something that you want because you're trying to cause some positive emotions. Two, more confidence due to the reasons I described earlier. Three, less neediness or pushiness. Four, you're going to engage in more social situations unless you're someone who already has like almost no nervousness, which is very few people. And five, if you have a string of times where it doesn't go your way, it's likely to bother you less, slow you down less, reduce your confidence less. So I highly recommend this. One point that you need to remember, and I hope everyone who watches this does go ahead and start aiming to have that as their primary aim. Obviously there's going to be situations where you forget this, or you have like a high level of temptation or like low motivation or something. So just try to discipline yourself as much as reasonably possible and improve over time. But what's more important is that a lot of the time, I give this to people in coaching, and they end up doing way better for some time. And they end up going from not really having any success, being very nervous, finding it very hard to speak to people, etc., to having great conversations, making new friends, going on dates, whatever their aim is currently, and making people happy and laugh when they're talking to them. Then, because they start getting extrinsic results, they lose track of the primary goal that made them have that progress in the first place, attempt to cause positive emotions. And they have a switch that most of the time they don't really see happening, where they are now more focused on this person is going to like meet up with me or give me their phone number or something. And at that point, they're basically just a ticking time bomb unless they fix this. Because otherwise, what's going to happen is a string of failures will happen, and then their confidence is going to get really knocked, and their motivation is going to get reduced, and some other impacts, and they end up going downhill, which is a really common thing that happens in people's progress. So it's important to hold on to if you don't usually do this. By doing this, I'll be extremely surprised if by doing this consistently, you don't end up with some good results happening. But it's easy to lose touch with things. Similar to how a sports person who might really enjoy a sport ends up being paid for it, and then they start focusing more on making money from the sport, being an athlete, than the sport itself. So obviously that's a much less common thing to happen, but that's kind of an analogy to that. So just be aware of that, and remember, attempt to cause positive emotions. So this is the first video I've made in a while. I'm going to start making more again. I'm going to see if I can aim to do one a day and see what happens. But if not, then I'll be at least doing a few a week now. So please subscribe, like and comment, and share this stuff if you think it's good. If you are interested in our coaching, then there should be a link in the description, socialshortcuts.com. Just go there and you can contact us or me and book a free trial session of one-to-one coaching. We also have a WhatsApp group chat where we discuss social skills and I answer people's questions, and I post stuff that I don't really post on social media, on YouTube and TikTok. So there should be a link to join that as well. And we've got a conversation video course, which has all of my stuff on how to not run out of things to say in conversation, and all of my stuff on how to overcome nervousness in social situations. I mean, I've advanced a bit more since I made it, but it's really, really good stuff, and it's very cheap. So the link should be in the description for that as well. Remember, my aim is to help the world with social skills, and therefore make everyone happier and have more positive emotions, attempt to cause positive emotions, right? So if you can go forth into the world and help people, then